Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Alright, so this is the second week of getting into shadow work workshop. I say class because it's like a tongue twister, right? So let's recap a little bit. The first week I wanted to identify who you are. So if you did the work, let me know how that went for you. If you try to search like who you are at the core, okay? And if you didn't, I encourage you to go back and start from the beginning. So this week, we're going to get into a little bit more of the shadow work, okay? Now, again, what is shadow work? It is the practice of working through and learning forgiveness for your shadow self, the dark, deep parts of you that you keep hidden. And sometimes we'll even hide them from ourselves. So, for example, if you have trauma from the past, a lot of times you have hidden all of that down and pushed it down in your heart and not really want to like deal with it. It's also the ugly parts of ourselves that we don't want to address. The bigot, the racist, the part of us that's angry for things that we shouldn't maybe feel angry for, the guilt, all of that stuff that we push down, push away, or try to neglect and not look at. Shadow work is the process of working through all of that. Well, why? And the core, the root of the problem. Like, why do I feel so angry? Why am I so hurt? Why do I cry? Why? It's getting to the whys so that you can finally heal from it all and get past it. I always say this to everybody, anything. Knowledge is power, okay? Your shadow self is a side of you that you often hide from others and yourself. Like I said, anger, rage, pain, loneliness. Carl Jung, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, Jung. He was a renowned Swiss psychologist, and he made this his life work, okay, shadow work. And according to him, our shadow is the side of us that our ego doesn't identify with. It's the dark side of your personality. We all can be that love and light, but we also can be that, that's why I identify with Sassy Medium, because part of it is my shadow self, and I'm admitting that. Part of it is that I'm very nice and very kind for the most part, but don't piss me off, because I'm going to come for you. And that's a part of the shadow self, okay? Some shadow traits. I apologize if you, I didn't say it in the beginning, but you will need pen and paper for this video. So if you want to pause it and go get pen and paper, yay. Okay. So the shadow traits that you may have are anger outbursts, even fits of rage, envious, jealousy, being manipulative or exploitive, being selfish or self-centered. It's all about you. It's your world. That's a bit of your shadow self, okay? Being obsessed with your appearance, and how others perceive you. Well, I don't want to go out looking like this. What do people say? That's your shadow self, okay? Also being arrogant and egotistical, that is a huge part of your shadow self, all right? Being intolerant, just like, it's my way. No, I don't want to hear your opinion. You're not open to that. That's what that's all about. Just being completely intolerant of things or others. Being judgmental or being really gossipy. We do that for a reason, okay? Because we shouldn't gossip on others, and we know that it's not right, right? Yet we'll do it anyway. That is part of the shadow self. The other part is being extremely defensive. People can ask you questions, I don't know, and just getting completely defensive over it. Being overly competitive is another trait of the shadow self. And also, lastly, being very stubborn. And I mean, like, sometimes to the point where you just won't budge, even deep down, if you know, maybe I should give in, but you won't. that is definitely a huge part of your shadow self. Kind of like digging your heels in on a situation. Or let's say you have an argument with somebody and you are arguing your point, da 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 da. And then all of a sudden during the argument, you realize that you finally understand what they're trying to say and they're right, yet you won't concede. You will not let them be right and acknowledge that they're right. You'll keep arguing your point. That's a huge part of your shadow. Okay, I got all my notes here. So I want to say this because I didn't say it in the first video. When doing shadow work, the main thing that you need to do is you need to make a pact with yourself that you're going to be 100% honest with yourself. Get a journal and start writing stuff down and all of that, that no one will look at, no one will see. And so you need to just have a place of honesty for self. If you're not honest with yourself, then nothing will change. You cannot keep lying to yourself or hiding from yourself, all of yourself. You know, we have to accept the light about ourselves, and we have to accept the dark just as well. Okay. Shadow work is a deep dive. Okay, usually through like meditation and journaling, into what makes us tick and why. Okay, the shadow self for many people usually starts in childhood, from trauma, abuse, really hard times, difficult times. It doesn't always have to be abuse. It could be a family that was so poor you had trouble making ends meet and you were hungry a lot. I mean, there's a myriad of reasons why the shadow self can develop. Okay, and the goal is forgiveness and acceptance, full acceptance. Okay, forgiveness of self and others, and just full acceptance. And what I mean by that is full acceptance of yourself, what happened, the situations that happened to you, and accepting the people that did things to you. I mean, let me backtrack here. I don't mean accepting them back into your lives if you have pushed them away. That's all fine and dandy. You can definitely do that. It is your right to do that. You don't have to have anybody around you that you don't want to have around you, right? However, you have to get to a point of acceptance, of accepting what happened, accepting what they did to you, and forgiving them and moving on. Forgiveness is not for them. Forgiveness is to let go of the heaviness that you hold in your heart, the anger, the pain, the frustration, the loss, whatever you're feeling. Forgiveness, think of all of the things that you feel about your past, all the negative things that you feel about your past, kind of like an anchor to a boat weighing you down. Well, forgiveness, each time you forgive someone, you cut a piece of that chain out so that you can rise up and be happy, you know? So before you start, like I said, make a pact that you'll always be 100% honest with yourself, okay? Otherwise, you're going to do this work for nothing, for no reason, and you will have to do it again and again and again until you're honest with yourself. I'm angry, I'm pissed at so-and-so for doing this to me. That's okay, but honor it, recognize it, and be real with yourself about it, right? Don't pressure yourself, you know, when you're doing journal prompts about it, and we're going to get into journal prompts and all that today, but don't pressure yourself to write a lot. Open yourself up to doing this work for however long you want to do it for, and when you don't feel like you can do it anymore or don't want to do it anymore, please stop. You know, you have to be kind to yourself. You have to forgive yourself, and it's a process. It doesn't happen in just one sitting, okay? You know, this is definitely work. That's why it's called shadow work, but never force it. Whenever you force it, your soul, and we're all a little defiant, right? That little child in us, like, eat your vegetables. No. And when you force something, that kind of behavior comes in, Okay? Whenever you do shadow work, whenever you do it, like sit down to do it for yourself, make sure that you practice self-care afterwards. Take care of yourself, heal, do something nice, go take a nice hot bath and relax. Okay? Um, Remember that you're treating wounds that still haven't fully closed for years, months, even from childhood, and healing takes time, okay? Healing takes time. So let's get into some ways to do shadow work, and we're going to do a couple exercises. That's why I said to bring pen and paper. One, to take notes, but two, because we're going to do an exercise today. All right, so ways to do shadow work. The major way that you'll see it all over the internet is the journal prompts. You know, like these help if you do not know where to start. Okay, like okay, I want to do my shadow work, I want to start healing, but what do I ask myself? Where do I start? You know, it can be difficult. An example of like a journal prompt would be, when did I first feel hurt? And you can even answer that for yourself now. When did you first feel hurt? When do you remember feeling hurt the first time? Like really hurt, neglected, not heard, you know. And then you can ask, well, who did it? Who did it? And how do I feel about that person now? You see how it starts? And you have to really get real with yourself about how you feel, and not say, oh, well, I'm okay. You know, a lot of people I see, a lot of clients I see when I do Reiki sessions and healing, is they say, oh, my uncle molested me, but he still comes around family functions. I'm okay with it. And I hear in their voice, they're only, you know, a lot of times we get societal pressure, right? And that is all that is, because that person does not want to be around that person because it's a trigger. They remember what they did all those years ago. And we need to understand that we have every right to say no, we don't want to see them anymore, even if they're family members, okay? So journal prompts are the main way to do shadow work. The way that I have come up with is called, I've named it, is called the Chronological Method. And I like this method because I use it in my healing sessions, in my Reiki healing sessions. And the Chronological Method, how that works is you start from birth all the way up to the age you are. And you start dealing with each incident, each feeling, and going like that. Because some people, like me, had problems in the womb. And you can have shadow work that started from the womb. I'll give you an example. I'm going to be an open book because I want you guys to really understand this. And I have no problem talking about my past because I've done shadow work and healed so much of that. So for me, how, you know, when you're a baby in your mom's tummy, you feel, you hear. That's why people play music, talk to their baby in the mom's stomach, and all of that. And even if we can't hear, we get the emotions coming from the mother, okay? And we can feel those emotions as a baby, okay? So if the mom doesn't want you, if your mom didn't want you, you could feel and pick up those emotions. Maybe you'll come out and be colicky, this and that, okay? For me, my mom was 16, so I'm sure she didn't want me. But she says that she did, and I pick up psychically that she did. She just was like scared, and that's normal. But my dad beat my mom, threw her downstairs, threw her out of a moving car pregnant with me, and that could have affected my childhood. Okay, that could have been the start of it. All right, and so then I would go, the next time something really bad happened to me, I was 3. I don't remember it, but I know the story and how it makes me feel of what happened to me, and that I can work through. So if you don't remember something, that's okay. A lot of times when you're trying to do shadow work, the problems that can come up is memory loss, memory blocks. And I'll talk about that in a little bit, but memory blocks are common and normal. And the reason, I'll just talk about it now. The reason that you have memory blocks is because your brain, your psyche, was protecting you from some of the stuff that you went through. So do not feel guilty. You're actually very strong and beautiful for being able to be protected. Especially a lot of times your parents weren't there to protect you, or nobody was there to protect you, but you protected you. Okay, because I've had abuse my entire life, and for the most part, especially when I was a child, nobody protected me, but I protected me. Do I have a lot of memory blocks? Yes. So don't feel guilty if you can't remember. Think of it as a superpower. It's okay that you don't remember. It's less trauma that you need to deal with. Okay? And even though you can't remember it, your soul does, and it gets worked out with the things that you can remember. Okay? So the chronological method is something that I love because I feel that you don't miss anything. Okay? I like to actually do the chronological and journal prompts together. And I like to do it that way, for me personally, for shadow work. Okay, the next way is the one that people go give me the eye roll. Oh, Crystal, I can't do that. It's meditation. Okay, seeing what comes up. So if you're good at meditating, great. Meditate, and with the focus of what's going to come up. I'm going to tell you a lot of things will come up. You know, I've done a meditation where I wanted to deal with my father wounds, okay? And it led me down a path through meditation to heal that, and understanding why my father was, I used to think he was evil. He isn't evil. He's broken and angry and never healed. And I used to hate him, but now I forgive him, and I actually feel sorry for him that he didn't have what he should have had as a child. Being adopted, your adopted father like slitting your throat when you were 10, and being an alcoholic, of course that can make a child angry, you know, and then that anger can grow. You're going to go two ways if you're abused as a child. You're going to go the angry route, or you're going to go and become a really strong empath, like me, like most of us do. That's the way that you're going to do. Yeah, the memory and its issues, I've already talked about. So I want to talk about the 3-day rule, okay? As you bring up these feelings, feel them, okay? It can be very trying and traumatizing and very hard to do, okay? But I'm going to tell you that you can do it. But if you feel like you're doing it too fast, slow down. Slow down. Slow way down, okay? But when you go through it, let's say you do a session one day, you do a meditation or do a few journal prompts, and it's really heavy. You uncovered a lot of heavy stuff, heavy emotions, and all of that. It's okay. Let them come through. Feel them, okay? But the 3-day rule is, as you bring up these feelings, feel them, but only allow yourself 3 days. On the 4th day, make sure that you release it and let it go. Even if you're still feeling it, let it go. Just let it go. Choose to let it go. All right, I felt it enough. I'm just going to let it go. I don't need to feel it anymore. I know the issue. I know this. I know that. I'm going to let it go. All right, so all right, so get your pen and paper out. We're going to try an exercise. All right, set aside a sheet of white paper with a pencil. Write anything you can think of on the paper. So if you have not pen but pencil, so this is saying take a piece of paper and write with a pencil. Okay, write anything you can think of. It doesn't matter, just write on it, and then try to erase what you've written down, and then look at the paper again, and then observe for traces of what you've written before. Okay, hush. At the end of the exercise that you just did, what did you notice? Well, this is what you might have noticed. Even after shading over the items you wrote, you might still see traces of what you wrote, and the once white sheet of paper is now filled with smears as a result of attempting to erase, what you've written through shading, right? Be still. Take a deep breath. There's more, okay? Because the goal is to fully explore your mind, the mind of your shadow, and fully understand all that there is to possibly know about your past, your inner lost child, and accept what is. Let's see how else we can understand the shadow. Have you heard of analytical psychology? So let me get off of that here. All right, one second. Okay, we're gonna fast forward here. I'm not trying to make this video really, really, really long. Okay, now, how does the shadow think? All right, you know what the shadow is, so it's time to learn something more, how it thinks. By understanding how your shadow thinks, you'll further enhance your path to victory and getting the best out of yourself, okay? But remember this, as you learn about the shadow, how the shadow thinks, you can't be afraid of your shadow because it's a part of who you are, all right? You're always going to have a shadow self, but let's look at it in percentages. Maybe right now you have an 80% shadow self and it's just unmanageable. You have anxiety, like a depression, and a myriad of symptoms, right? Well, doing shadow work it will reduce from 80 to hopefully down to 0, but for most of us that have had a lot of trauma in our life, you may never get that number to 0, but you can get it to a number that's manageable and you feel the best that you've ever felt. Okay? We will never get rid of our shadow self. It is a part of us. It's not something that grew and we can pluck it out and get rid of it. It's always been there, but we've just kind of like a bank kind of put shadow into it and it grew that way. I hope I'm making sense. So, let's begin with this. Your shadow is a being, okay? We have established that. Your shadow speaks and acts spontaneously. It has a voice. You've often said things that portray a certain personality trait. You may have one day argued that it never existed inside of you, all right? So, I want to give some examples of what I'm talking about, how the shadow thinks. So I'm going to say some phrases. Some of these may resonate with you and some may not. So I think I'm better than most people. Have you ever said that to yourself? And the thing is not to say no if you've done it before. This is the time to say, yes, I have. Why am I saying that? Okay? Like I said, 100% full honesty with self. Okay? I think I'm worse than most people. Have you ever said that? I hate men for ruining the world. I think women truly are the inferior sex. They say they don't need men, but I feel like I would flounder on their own. They would flounder on their own if they were afraid of how much they need us. My pain is more significant than the pain of others. I wish that there were... I don't like that one. I should have more money than 99% of the world because I will do better things with it than most people. I think that people over the age of 25 who accept minimum wage jobs have low self-esteem and deserve the position they have opted themselves into. I wish my mom had died instead of my dad. I love manipulating men into giving me what I want. I go on and on, okay? These are parts of your shadow self. This is the ugly side to us. Your shadow self is the ugly side of you, and we all have it. But it's time to bring it out of the dark and shed some light on it and figure out why, okay? A good one that I like is, sometimes I hate women for how much power they have over me with their sexual power. Okay. You got to understand that you are what you think about, okay? Um, so, yeah. Okay. So, how can you discover even more of the baggage within you? Try these exercises to become more aware of the aspects of yourself that you're withholding, and bring those things to light, to consciousness, but do it healthily and responsibly. Okay? What biases do I hold towards the opposite sex? What stereotypes do I have towards people from a different race, color, or culture? Do I hate anyone, and to what extent? What are the worst things I have said in the past few days? Did I hurt anyone recently? What are my prejudices towards men or women? Do I feel smarter and superior to anyone? Okay. Take a while to think about those for a second. You can perhaps write your answer down. Does it direct you to certain feelings about yourself that you don't imagine existed? Did you dig up shadow thoughts or baggage you didn't know you carried before? If it did, then you're on the right path, okay? If any of that resonated with you, you're on the right path, okay? The shadow knows the real you. You may not be conscious of your shadow self, but it is conscious of you, for real. It is aware and knows what is hidden behind your facade, okay? The shadow knows the real you, just the way you are aware of your being, so does the shadow, okay? All right, so lastly, I want to go over real quick how to find the shadow in your life, okay? Have you ever told someone who has been bothering you to get lost? Sure, we all have. Perhaps not literally and not always to an external being, but our internal subconscious self. It's time to find that guy or girl that we told to get lost, okay? Here are 3 things renowned shadows experts, say about the shadow, all right? The first one that we have is projection. We often see others as a mirror or a projection of ourselves. This is an unconscious shadow behavior. What happens when we do this is that we project the problems we have on others, okay? That is, as we find something we dislike about ourselves, we sort of kind of point it out in others, okay? So what we kind of go through, we'll see it in others and we'll point it out. Everything can be like a mirror to us, okay? Task for this, all right? Be more attentive to how and what you project towards someone else. You'll find your shadow between the dotted lines, okay? It's like a sort of attention you pay while looking into a mirror, but this time the other person is the mirror, okay? All right, now next is triggers. A gun has a lever, right? When pulled, it activates its firing mechanism, right? This lever is called a trigger. There are shells containing bullets of experiences you've had in the past that, after one action of yours or someone else, everything from before is set in motion. Like you have to explore also, what are your triggers? What makes you upset? Who makes you upset? Why do they make you upset? All of this, it's exhausting to do shadow work. But think of this, you're not supposed to do it all at once, because 9 times out of 10, if you do it all at once, you'll stop, you'll quit, because it is so overwhelming, and it can be so overwhelming. Even if you have to take it one little smidge at a time, do one thing a week, but still do something. That's why I'm only doing videos once a week, because I know it's a lot, and this one is a lot. So, and the only person that can do shadow work and can heal you really is you. Even if you were to come into one of my healing sessions, I help you, but really, you're the only one that can heal you. I'm the only one that can heal me. You're the only one that can heal you. Okay? So, with triggers, the task is to find yourself. Be attentive to your triggers. What are your triggers? Why do you have these triggers? What is the cause of the trigger? And then start working on releasing it and healing it. Okay. So the task is find yourself, like I said. The last one is patterns. Like triggers, the patterns that we observe about ourselves can point us to our shadow. It just requires you to be observant and conscious about them, and you will find them. One thing you've noticed in this is, in all that I've said, is that we've established some truths, and one of them is that your shadow can reflect itself in your outward reality. Okay? As these reflections occur consistently, you'll notice their footprints and their patterns. Okay? And that's what you want to do. So the task for this is, what are the most consistent reflections of your shadow that you can construct in your mind right now? Are there enough patterns to create a picture of that shadow? Take a little while to think about that, okay? So I will end with this. Believe in your ability to heal, okay? We all have it. I know that what you've gone through is difficult. I know that. I understand that. And it makes a lot of people afraid to do shadow work and even go to therapy. Therapy is a form of shadow work, because of the fact that it's hard to bring everything up. But you are selling yourself short when you do that. You're forgetting that you already went through it live and in person. Okay? So anything up here is just a remnant of that. And you can heal from it. So let me know if you have any questions or comments. So this week, I would say, if you're trying to do this with me for these weeks, I would say, but if I don't get any responses from this video, I'm not gonna do another video. Only if I get people that are interested in doing it, or actually doing it. Otherwise, there's no point in me wasting my energy to do these videos if nobody's going to do the work. Hopefully somebody will do the work. You're always going to be ready, even when you think you're not. You're stronger than you think, and you can do it. And I'm going to be real with you. If I can experience molestation, rape, neglect, and all of this stuff, and work on it and face it, so can you. So can you. We all can. I wish you many blessings and heal. So try whatever method works best for you, and you can use all three. You can use the journal prompts, you can use and you can find, if you don't know like where to start with journal prompts, go to Pinterest. There's so many there that can kind of get you started. Once you kind of like understand how to work with this and work with your shadow, you may not need that. You'll just know how to do it. You can do the chronological order and start asking questions of yourself. You know, like, well, why, what happened at 5? Why do I feel this way? Who did it? How do I feel about them? And if you're not feeling happy and all of that about something that happened in your past, then it's time to work on that and look at that, okay? So with that, thank you so much. Many blessings to you all, and I hope that you all heal. That's my goal, is for everybody to heal. We all need to heal. All right.